Mistakes have been made. You pull a Garuda and she looks pissed at you. It would seem that congrats are in order, by the looks of it, you've been selected to main tank Garuda Extreme, and get murdered, and then get blamed for the wipe. You might be asking yourself how not to mess this up and shit the bed. No worries, I'm here to help. Quite frankly, there's other ways to do this fight, but this is what's been working for me. And hell, you might learn something new, and worst case, you get to express your inner troll and call me out on my shit tanking, so it's a win-win either way. By now you have pulled, and Garuda always opens up with an early slipstream, so once you land your first combo, get ready to sidestep, so you don't take the stun. Some tanks pull Garuda further to prevent damage to the pillars, but I've honestly never had an issue with the pillars being destroyed to the point that it causes a wipe. As long as you're facing your way and your DPS is doing its job, it should never be a problem. She's gonna call in a storm that makes the actual arena smaller. You have to run to either the left or the right pillar to avoid her feathers that can hit non-tanks hard and leave a dot on you. After feathers, she uses Minstrel Song that can kill non-tanks if not behind the pillar. I like to run it once her cast bar is half done. You won't take damage and it gives you enough time to position back in the middle without her moving around. Once in position, she summons her Razor and Satin Plumes. It's the DPS job to kill these as soon as possible while focusing the Satin down first. Kill them fast or the pillars are going to take too much damage and eventually your party is going to get put to sleep, if not killed fast enough. As a tank, face her away from the party and pillars while you avoid her slipstream. Feel free to try and land Circle of Scorn on any plumes that spawn around you. If you get past this, then you start the first sister phase. I would recommend you get your combo started and hold Rage alone to pick up your sisters fast and cause zero hate issues. Garuda is going to spawn her two sisters, Suparna and Sharada. You can do this two ways. Have your MT pick up Suparna and the off-tank Sharada like we do, or I've seen tanks pick up the opposite ad instead. As long as the off-tank's ad dies fast, it really doesn't matter. The off-tank is going to take his or her ad south while the main tank takes Garuda and her sister to the north. This is where your hate combo helps, so you can get your ad while cementing hate. Once in position, Garuda is going to open up a slipstream, and right after it, Suparna's slipstream is going to go off as well. Once I see Garuda's cast bar for slipstream, it helps to run in a circle around both ads, which helps me avoid both of their attacks. After slipstreams, friction is going to be cast, which puts a circle on the ground that needs to be avoided. What I've noticed after this is two things depending on the damage done. If lacking in damage, right after friction, both Garuda and the ad are going to use Wicked Wheel that can one-shot the tank if cooldowns are not running. I recommend using 2 cooldowns depending on your gear after you see the friction cast bar. The other outcome I've seen is if you have good DPS, Garuda and the ad are going to vanish right after friction, like you see on this video, and drop their feathers that you can avoid by just running to the right. Once you run back into position and they appear again, they're going to open up with Wicked Wheel for high damage. If you pop cooldowns when she was casting friction, then you should still have them up by this time. If cooldowns are popped during friction, it should prevent the massive damage taken or even death if either of these situations happen. By now that other ad should be dead and your off tank should come over and taunt the ad off you, and take her away to avoid double Wicked Wheel on the DD if you have any melee. Kill the ad before Garuda vanishes and you made it to the second phase. A few things on phase 2. The strategy we're using here for phase 2 is that each tank picks up a target. The main tank starts with Garuda and the off tank picks up Suparna, while we have a DPS grab Sharada. This strategy works great for when you're unable to run a full range damage group and have melee with you. A Dragoon or Monk can easily tank an ad, and as long as the rest of the damage avoids slipstream and other attacks, then there won't be any need to discriminate against melee classes. After her aerial blast, she's going to cast a storm around the arena again and make it smaller. The DPS and healer should gather in the middle behind Garuda, and she's going to spawn a bunch of razor plumes, and also an ad called Spiny Plume. It's important for the off tank to pick up the Spiny Plume and tank it outside the pack of razor plumes. While he holds a spiny plume, he can actually damage it to around half health. Once the off-tank has the spiny out of the group, the DPS can AoE and kill the razor plumes as fast as possible, and single target any other razor that gets on the off-tank. Again, they must die fast or you're going to wipe. While the spiny is targeting the off-tank, it's going to stack a debuff on him, and you cannot allow it to go over 2 stacks. Once it reaches 2 stacks, the main tank provokes his spiny while he or she gets ready to dodge a Garuda's slipstream. Once Garuda vanishes, kill the spiny and run away from its corpse. It's going to blow up, which is indicated by the red circle on the ground, and at the same time Garuda is going to drop feathers. Once the ad blows up, everyone run back into the circle where a bubble shield is going to appear. At this point, Garuda is going to use Mistral Shriek, and you have to be inside of the bubble to survive. Kill the spiny too late or too soon and you're going to wipe due to the bubble coming up too late or vanishing way too soon. You have now reached the sisters part of phase 2. This can be the tricky part, which requires positioning and dodging from all members. Like in phase 1, the main tank is going to keep Garuda, while this time the off tank is going to grab Soprana. The main tank is going to pull Garuda to the northeast, and the off tank is going to pull Soprana as far northwest as he or she can, while their back is turned to the southeast toward the DPS and healers. This is to assure that the healers can reach both tanks. On the minimap you can see 4 dots where the pillars used to be, and you can use this as a reference if you have a hard time finding your position. This is where having melee can actually be pretty handy. While a caster can still do the same job, the melee can be easier to heal. In this case, our Dragoon pulls Shirada as far southeast as possible, away from Garuda and Soprana. Once they're all in position, damage should go all out and kill Shirada fast. Use the limit break to make sure it dies in time. While this is happening, the damage has to dodge Slipstream, because it can kill a non-tank. Also, once again, the spiny is going to appear, and this time the main tank can pick it up or leave it on whoever it targets, as long as it's not the off tank. Both Garuda and Soprana are going to vanish and drop feathers, while at the same time tornadoes are going to appear from the north to south and west to east, in a cross formation. If you tank around the area that I'm at, these tornadoes won't be an issue at all. By now Shirada should be dead, especially if you use the limit break and it's time to burn down Soprana. You should have about 2 stacks of the spiny debuff on you, and the off tank should provoke it off you. Once Soprana is dead, and if you got time, you can hit Garuda a little. If you're melee, you can avoid getting hit by the tornado if you cross around the time the actual tornado animation finishes. Don't be a noob like me and get hit like I do later in the video. Once Garuda vanishes, treat the spiny like in the plume phase, kill it and avoid the explosion, and then run back into the bubble. She's going to use aerial blast, and the shield should keep you all alive. Congrats, you just survived all the phases of Garuda. From now on, it's a rinse and repeat of phase 2, both the plume phase and the sister phase. Repeat all of this till Garuda is actually dead. A side note, you might have noticed that I ran sort of 90% of this video. While it was still bugged during the time of this recording, that's not the reason I used it. I just felt that the small increase in damage was worth the work to our healers, and I trust my healers to keep me up without shield up. So it's not something I would recommend for everyone to try. There you go, guys. Garuda Extreme from a tank's perspective. Let me know if you like this, and if I get a good response, I'll gladly make more videos of other Final Fantasy XIV fights. And worst case, feel free to make fun of my bad tanking. Just let me know what you would like to see.